could potentially stop some other woman from going back into a bad situation where they realize their strength. They realize their strength doesn't come from the brand of their shoes, the brand of their pack, or how much they can run or how much they can lift. They realize at that moment that that all just comes from within them.
Welcome to Wild Development Studio. Join us as we venture into the breathtaking realm of wildlife arts and untamed adventures. With captivating stories from the field and ideas to dive into the visual arts, we'll ignite your passion for conservation. Get ready to develop something wild.
Welcome to Wild Developments. I'm your host, Lauren, and today is a special release episode focusing on an amazing organization helping women in the Dayton, Cincinnati area that is hosting a lot of exciting events happening this summer. Today we're talking to Jessica Urton, founder of the nonprofit organization Hope Wanders, whose mission is to empower and support women who have triumphed over abuse, fostering their connection with the healing power of the outdoors. Hope Wanders believes in the transformative potential of nature to inspire resilience, self-discovery, and a renewed sense of purpose. Nature has a unique ability to nurture the mind, body, and spirit. It provides a space for reflection, growth, and empowerment. For survivors of abuse, reconnecting with the outdoors can be a transformative experience, offering a path towards healing and a renewed sense of self-worth. Through outdoor activities, Hope Wanders aims to build a supportive community where women can share their stories, inspire each other, and find strength in unity. Jessica, thank you so much for being here today.
Absolutely. Thank you. It's my pleasure.
So you founded Hope Wanders, and before we get to that, I want to know about your background leading up to creating such an amazing organization.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So Hope Wanders is 100% fueled from my own background and my own passions. So I was doing the typical American thing, the typical Midwestern thing. We all go to high school and you think you're supposed to marry your high school sweetheart and have kids. And I tell people now, I didn't know there wasn't an option to not have kids. I didn't know you could live in a van and travel the world and climb and hike and do all these crazy, awesome things that I've met all these people that do now. So I was doing what I thought we were supposed to do, right? So I had 3 children. I married a man that I met when I was 17. And of course he was, not to get into a love story, but it's that whole, like, I can make this person better. I can make this person change. That was of course the big thing. So I essentially married my high school sweetheart and it did not go well. So he had addiction problems. There was abuse. That's not the whole gist of the story, but I got up enough nerve to leave. And my youngest daughter was around 7 years old and I got up enough nerve to leave. So I left with absolutely nothing. I did have one thing. I had a camper. And so what I did is I took my skills and I took what I had and we moved into state parks essentially. So I volunteered my time in exchange for my housing expenses. The fuel behind that was when this happened. So I found myself in this situation. I wanted my girls out of it. I wanted to make sure that I could look at my daughters down the road and say, don't do that. Don't let somebody treat you like that. And I knew being in the situation that I was in, I could never say that to them without them looking at me and say, hey, you did this. So I wanted to make sure that I at least gave it my all to do that. Also, I didn't want to be that typical statistic. I didn't want to be that, I had to work 90 hours a week just to have some crappy apartment. There's nothing wrong with that, but that's just not the approach I wanted to take. I didn't want to give up my time with my daughters. So to kind of sum the story up, I was a school bus driver. So I was off all summers. So what I would do is we would host at the campground in the summer instead, and we would organize all the activities. So my kids really did live in a fairyland. So I raised them in a camper, Cedar Creek State Park right here in Wilmington, Ohio. And they were exposed to this community. this wonderful community. So a lot of my family had passed away. Of course, with the divorce, it was really, really kind of hairy. And so they didn't have a lot of family either. So our family became this outdoor community. I saw what that outdoor community could do, especially for raising children for the future, because that's my biggest thing is leadership, is leading by example. Whether we have children or not, whether we have families or not, we're still in a position of leadership. I feel like, we kind of, that's how the world functions. And these communities, these outdoor communities are something that I cannot preach enough, They helped us so tremendously. So we go to Florida to visit our family, and there are other campus families. They're people that we met hosting at Caesar Creek. So that was my drive for Hope Wanders, is to be able to offer that community to other people, especially in abuse situations. So Hope Wanders' mission and Hope Wanders' goal is to help women from difficult life situations, including abuse, to experience outdoor activities and community. And what that means is the biggest thing is community, is getting them into, I'm not saying people should abandon their family or do anything like that, but just to have an alternate option, so they have some place to put their strengths and work on their strengths. So it is absolutely 100% fueled by my own story with my 3 daughters. My daughters are now 16, 17, and 21. So they all are doing phenomenal. And I absolutely attest it to being in a really healthy community. And I just want to make sure that everybody has that option to have that community.
Wow, that is incredibly brave of you to have 3 small kids and know, I want to be a good role model for my daughters, and I have to model that. And well, first of all, and it's also brave of you to share your story. A lot of people would keep that to themselves, but through sharing your story and creating a company like this, you are going to help so many people and know that they are not alone and that they have options. How long did it take for you to get to the point where you wanted to share your story and help other women?
I still have a hard time when I have events and I'm the speaker at the events, or I'm introducing a speaker at some of my events. I still have a hard time telling our story. I think it's nothing that's ever going to escape me, because I feel that everybody has a problem. I understand that. I see that. And I don't feel like mine is any greater or any less or any different than anyone else's. And so I think I have a hard time sharing it in that sense. Other than that, I'm not ashamed to talk about it. I know it's a vulnerable issue, but the thing I've learned, especially being with Hope Wanders, is almost every single woman, especially in the outdoor community, is facing some sort of difficult life situation. So now I've realized that people want to hear it. It helps people, they want to hear it. And it helps some people step up that may not otherwise. As far as telling my story, honestly, it's really been just recently since I started Hope Wanders to actually tell it to the public. So really just since November. Everybody kind of knew somewhat of my story just because I was in the state park system and I was always doing all these things. And now I'm actually a hiking guide for an all-female company too. So that's my actual quote unquote job right now. And it's all because I spent so much time in the outdoor community. So really, I have actually handcrafted mine and my daughter's lives. And that saying that everybody tells you is like, you make your life what you want it. You can do whatever you want is true. It's 100% true. So if telling my story now helps somebody else to get to that point, then that's amazing.
Absolutely. And when you went to Caesar's Creek, was that your plan to stay there, or was the community that you were around so amazing that you're like, I need to stay here more? This is like a family and it's healing.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what it became. Yeah. No, it was not my plan to stay. I actually I took the girls and we went to Florida at one point, and I had thought about joining, because once I got into like we'll call it the full-time RVing world. That's what everybody knows it as. Once I got into it, I realized how easy it is to kind of make a living and move within it. It really is. That's why there's so many people doing it. And if you do your due diligence and you're assertive and you go after what you want, you can absolutely make a living doing it. So we had went to Florida, and I thought this will be a great new start because Florida is a little more year round than Ohio is. But we ended up staying in Ohio. So we ended up, once I figured out what to do and how to do it within the state parks, it became home. And it absolutely is home to us. Yeah.
And gosh, it would be so much easier nowadays because since COVID, you could, we would travel with our son all the time and he would be online doing school and, we could be anywhere. So it would be even easier nowadays from an RV.
And honestly, that was kind of the blessing in disguise with COVID, because I was homeschooling them before that. I was doing, online public schools. And that was just the way. So every job I had, I did it geared around whether I could take the girls to work with me. So school bus driving, they could go on the bus with me. I was off school when they were off school. We were off all summer. I'm also a certified yoga instructor. So they spent a lot of their time lounging around in a yoga studio, while I was teaching classes. Even I taught, there was a stretch right at the beginning when things were really tough that we were it was during the winter too. So we took a break from camping and, I would work at the YMCA just so we had a place to shower. It was all being just crafty and creative, but it all fueled from, I just wanted to make sure I stayed with them and made sure that they were okay through this whole process.
What were some of the activities that you guys would do back then that you look back on now and think that was really healing?
Caving. So that's the one everybody asks me. Do you girls love hiking? Now that I'm a hiking guide, I'm like, oh no, they're like the preacher's kids. They're like, no way. You know what I mean? My oldest daughter is in cybersecurity now. My middle daughter is in digital arts and design. So they're computer people now, which is funny. But anyways, the one common thing that we always enjoy doing, and we still try to go do, is caving. And Carter Cave State Park in Kentucky is one. That is our sanctuary. That's where we go for mother-daughter times. And
Hope Wanders, you guys have a busy summer ahead. What are some
Yes, we do.
All the activities that people can be a part of, and what is your primary demographic?
So I'll back it up. We did this Empowering Outdoors series. The Empowering Outdoors series is it started out as a speaker series, and then it was mixed with, we would go on a hike afterwards. So it was our Empowering Outdoors coffee and conversation. Well, it was featured in Dayton Daily News, and since then, the whole entire Dayton community has been like, we want a piece of this. We want to offer this in our parks. Most recently, I've been contacted by Centerville, Washington Park District and Vandalia. We have a summer series running with them, and they're our Empowering Outdoors series. They wanted something that they could offer specifically to women. So this will be for women 18 and up. And a lot of them provide childcare or have childcare available. So it is available to anyone over the age of 18. Let's just say that. It's meant to be a space for community, for women to come and learn a little bit about some sort of outdoor activity. We've got a wide variety. We've got everything from, learning about your first aid kit, or learning how to, let's just say, build a fire, all the way to archery and fly fishing. Stuff that are just meant to give community and build confidence through skills and leadership. So with both park systems, that Empowering Outdoors series is for women 18 and up, like I said, and will provide childcare. So these are fundraising events for Hope Wanders. So of course we're collecting donations. It's free to anyone that needs it. And Hope Wanders too wants to make a space where we take our funding. If someone needed, say, transportation to any of these events or anything like that, that's what Hope Wanders is for, is to remove any barriers to outdoor adventure and activity. This has just been a phenomenal movement, I think, because they are offering it specifically to women. And this is something that Park Systems actually came and asked me for, is, we want this specifically for women. We'll offer other programs that are available to everyone, but that we want this space specifically for women because they recognize the need for it too. And then we have coming up, we're going to try and do quarterly I've partnered up with Rock Quest in Sharonville, Ohio, and we're doing a ladies climb night fundraiser. And that fundraising, so this is how far, I think it's pretty awesome. So this one, we'll do fundraising quarterly. And what that's going to do is that's going to support a monthly climb night for women. So all of that money will stay within the climbing industry. It'll help open up climbing to people that otherwise may have never thought about doing it, want to try it, but don't know where to start. We'll have belayers, we'll have instructors, we'll have all of that stuff. And we'll have fundraising nights, but then we'll have nights that are available to people that may not necessarily be able to afford it too. So it's essentially just opening up every aspect of the outdoor community to women to have a space to come in and find that community and that confidence that comes along with it.
Yeah, I was going to say doing something like rock climbing, especially as somebody that never thought to do it, the confidence that could build in somebody could be life-changing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Now, we met because I saw a call online for gently used outdoor equipment, and I had an old kayak that I donated. What's going to happen with that? And how can other people donate kayaks to you, or what kind of equipment are you looking for?
Yeah, absolutely. So Hope Wanders, and we'll talk about that situation a little bit in just a second. So Hope Wanders collects donations through, of course, monetary donations, in-kind donations, but also through used gear. The used gear can be used for a few different ways. So we can either, we might have a specific need for it, which in the case that you donated the kayak, it was a specific need. And when we get to talking about the adventure grant, that's what that adventure grant is for somebody to come and say, hey, this is my limitation, this is my barrier, and my goal is to try to remove that. And you were the first to respond to somebody that had come to us and say, hey, I miss kayaking, I'm from a domestic situation, I would love to get back into it. And that's why I put that out there, and you responded to it immediately. So we were able to provide something for someone that was a specific need. Another way we take the used gear donations is to use for consignment. So of course that would be just to draw in monetary things, because sometimes people don't necessarily have money to donate. They want to help, but a pair of boots might, consign a few bucks for them. For Hope Wanders. And then now the newest thing that we're using is for education purposes. So we've had donations of tents, of sleeping bags, of just all these sorts of things. And we can use those for educational aspects and some of this empowering outdoors programming. I would love to get to where we have enough equipment to be able to take people backpacking, do beginners backpacking sessions, things like that. And those donations can be absolutely 100% used for those. So all these different little nooks and crannies, we can use them for all sorts of things. So that kayak was our first adventure grant applicant, and she was from a domestic situation, and she was asking for a kayak and a pair of hiking boots. She said she lost those in the domestic situation, and she just needed that to get back out there and to feel confident. Yes. So thank you again for that.
Oh my God, you're going to make me cry.
Right? No, don't. That's you could have, it's amazing how I don't ever want, there can be in the outdoor community, there can be a lot of ego, and there can be a lot of limitations to someone. It's like walking into a high-end department store or something sometimes. When you come, especially when we talk about gear, and there's a reason that the price of gear is so expensive. It's because people are paying for it, and it doesn't necessarily need to be that expensive. And I always remind people of Emma Gatewood. She was 67 years old. She was the first female solo thru hiker on the Appalachian Trail, and she did it in Keds, and she did it with essentially a pillow sack with 25 pounds of gear, a plastic shower curtain, eating Vienna sausages. So gear should not be a limitation. It should not be unattainable to people because of the cost of things. And it absolutely is. In some people's case, they're afraid to show up in their, whatever they have on. So I don't think it personally matters, but I absolutely know where and why it can be intimidating. I've seen it myself.
That specific kayak that I donated in 2020, I left a pretty, it was gaslighting, I would say abusive work environment. And when I quit, I spent a lot of time sitting in that kayak with my camera. And that time was so healing for me. And the fact that it could be healing for somebody else, it gives me goosebumps. I love your mission. If somebody wanted to donate something to you, do they reach out to you in the website? Do they drop it off somewhere? How does that work?
Yeah. So if you visit our website at hopewanders.love is our website, and social media, Facebook, Instagram is at hopewanderslove for both of those. There is a section you can either contact us, you can fill out a form. Either way, we'll figure out we can arrange to pick it up. If it's not too great a cost, ship, things like that. So we'll figure out how to get it or how to make it work for somebody. Absolutely. And then if we do have a specific need like that, it seemed to work really well to just reach out online. And that's what I tell people. People say, how can I help? What can I do? What's the biggest thing I can do? And I say advocacy. Advocacy is the biggest thing you could do, because the thing I've learned with this is it touches everybody in some way, shape, or form. I never expected to sit down in some of the meetings I have with some of the people that I have and be like, I understand, some of these big burly, and I'm in meetings with men, and they're like, I understand. We want to help offer a space for this because it affects their daughters. It affects their granddaughters. It affects somewhere along the line. Difficult life situation affects somebody, and it doesn't have to be abuse. These programs are reaching out to people that have had financial troubles, and they've just had, just all sorts of other difficult situations, and the healing powers of outdoors are just phenomenal. Oh yeah, that kayak's going to get used for good then. I think that kayak must be on a mission.
I think it is. That's right. It's an important mission. Now, if somebody they wanted to be on the receiving end, they're going through a difficult time, or they know somebody going through a difficult time, you have a adventure grant. How can somebody go about applying for that? What is that process like?
Absolutely. So we just visit our website, Hope Wanders Love. Even if you don't make it to the website, feel free to message us through social media. I will respond any way we possibly can. So, but hopewanders.love, we have just at the top of the page there, adventure grant application. You can either fill that out for someone or you can fill it out for yourself. It actually has a section in there. It's going to ask a little bit about your situation. We have a committee of people that review all that. So it's not just one person. It's not just me taking it into my own hands. It's a group of people, that take all that into consideration. So adventure grant application on hopewanders.love is the best way to apply for yourself or to apply for anyone else. And that information doesn't ever get shared, of course. So it's all safe with us.
What are some success stories that maybe you're able to share that Hope Wanders has been a part of?
Perfect. So this Empowering Outdoors series has been, I feel like, the launch of all of it. It's kind of got out there and said, hey, we want to create a space for women to access this community, to be able to talk about the things. Let's talk about just being a guide. The number one thing that I've learned that women want to know when it comes to, let's just say, backpacking, being in outdoor adventures, is how to poop in the woods. And if I can answer that question for you right here in your community and for free without you having to go pay, $5,000 for a trip to figure this information out, then that is phenomenal. Let's remove that barrier right now. So, because on a lot of my backpacking trips, people are satisfied. They're like, oh, I learned how to poop in the woods, I'm done. So, but my original goal with Hope Wanders was to be, because I work for one of these companies, and I am the owner of the company is very supportive of Hope Wanders too and everything. But I see that the cost is such a limitation, but it shouldn't be. Like, everybody should be able to experience what I watch some of these women that come on a trip with me for a week, the transformation that they experience. So we do have a local company that is what Adventures for Women, and it's called Adventure Chicks, and it's right in Dayton, Ohio. And the woman that owns it, her name's Christy Matheson. She spoke at my last Empowering Outdoors event. She is such an eloquent speaker. She spoke on healing through the outdoors, and she also has a journey on how the outdoors helped her too. And then she started Adventure Chicks. So Adventure Chicks, as along with Outdoor Adventure Connection, which is another Dayton-owned company, donated 2 trips to their September yoga and caving adventure. So we've got 2 spots to give away before September for adventure grant applicants. So we're going to start advocating that and pushing that a little bit more. We want to start seeing those applications roll in. So my goal this year with Hope Wanders was to help 1 woman to be able to travel or do some epic adventure. And it's already surpassed that. And now we have 2 spots on a trip that I know for a fact this trip, because I know the person that's running it. I know the people that are running it. And that Carter Caves that I talked about, which was our little secret place, that's where it's at. So it's actually at Carter Cave State Park in Kentucky. It includes lodging, it includes all the meals, and it includes caving, yoga, hiking, all of this great stuff. So it's not too far from home. So the thing that Hope Wanders will be able to do too is hopefully if somebody needs help with childcare, transportation, or what have you, we can take care of all of those needs for 2 women this year. So in September. So I think that's a big success story for us.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
And like a huge barrier for women. Like I travel once a year to Cades Cove, me and my husky, my Fiona dog. And it's just her and I, and it's so healing. But my mom always freaks out, like, oh my God, you're going alone. And that could be a huge barrier for people in having a community of women to go traveling with, especially to do things like caving and yoga. It's huge. And then what are some other ways that people can help support Hope Wanders?
Of course, like I said before, advocacy is the number one. Just talking about it, just sharing it. Not even just that, but starting to self-reflect and think, how am I welcoming in the outdoors? Rule number 7, and leave no trace, is be kind and courteous on the trail. I always tell people they can remember a high five and a peace sign. So 5 and 2. So number 7 is be kind and courteous on the trail. That is one of the biggest things. Be welcoming. We are all the same when it comes to outdoor activities. When you get out there, you have to have a sense of safety about you. You have to have your wits about you. You have to be cautious. You have to be careful, but we're all the same in that. We all have to do the same thing. It's a protective instinct when we're out there, and nobody should not be able to access the healing powers of the outdoor because say somebody was rude to them and turned them off. And like you said, that can really be limiting, especially when you're doing something solo. So these group activities help. Even if they only do one group activity, if it inspires them to go solo after that, then that's phenomenal. That's kind of what our goal is to be able to get these women to walk out of their door when they're having a really bad day and go outside for, even if it's only for a half an hour, to not be scared or feel like there's limitations to doing that.
As a trail guide, what has been your favorite experience out on the trail?
My favorite experience is seeing that change in people. Is seeing that humbling moment where you realize, and I watch it on almost every single trip of mine. I just came back from Utah a few days ago. And of course, usually it's represented by tears and things like that. But seeing that humbling moment, going from being somebody that's there just to push because of athleticism or because, and they're worried about brands, they're worried about, all these different things, but that moment where that all goes away, where that all disappears, and they realize that this is it's such a sacred space. And those are my absolute favorite moments. And I've watched it happen so much on almost every trip of mine. That's my drive behind Hope Wanders, is being able to offer that experience to someone else, because that moment that I watch happen in women could potentially stop some other woman from going back into a bad situation where they realize their strength. They realize their strength doesn't come from the brand of their shoes, the brand of their pack, or how much they can run or how much they can lift. They realize at that moment that that all just comes from within them. When you spend that time with yourself, especially in the outdoors, that moment that I watch happen, that's my favorite moment on the trail, is what I'm trying to share.
It's beautiful. And I'm going to be sharing this. I'm very excited to share all of this on all the social media platforms so people can find you and help out. Again, what is your website?
HopeWanders.love. HopeWanders.love. Yeah.
Perfect. And that's going to be tagged in the show notes so people can check you out and go to an outdoor series or help donate. Before we go, what is one tip that you have for someone that would like to connect with nature?
Don't give up. Don't give up. When your mind tells you to give up, when you start to have those conversations with yourself that you don't necessarily want to have, don't back off, don't run away. Just be a friend to it. That's the biggest thing I've learned about my own experience. And I think that was a lot of why we had to be in that outdoor community, is I needed that healing space while I was raising my daughters. And when you're out there, and even if you're not by yourself, even if you're with a group, there's those glimpses of moments where you might hate yourself or you might doubt yourself, and you start to go with that internal battle. Let that internal battle happen, but meet it with kindness and meet it with acceptance. And I always tell people, tell that voice that everything's okay, that everything's fine, and you're in a safe place. So don't give up. When that moment hits you, when that spot hits you, that's the place of healing. That's the place you need to be. And when you start working through that and you learn to befriend yourself, that's where you want to be at.
Thank you so much, Jessica.
You're welcome so much. Thank you.
And until next time, get outside and see what develops.
Thanks for joining Wild Development Studio. We hope this exploration into the world of wildlife arts and adventure has sparked a desire to get outside and connect with something wild. If you have an adventure that's awe-inspiring, don't hesitate to share. Click the link in the description to submit your story to have it featured on our show or be a guest. Until next time, keep connecting to the wild and see what develops. The views, opinions, and statements expressed by individuals during Wild Development Studio productions do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of Wild Development Studio or its affiliates. Participation in any activities, expeditions, or adventures discussed or promoted during our content may involve inherent risks. It is strongly advised that individuals conduct thorough research, seek professional guidance, and take all necessary precautions before engaging in any such activities. Wild Development Studio, its representatives, or employees shall not be held responsible for any injury, loss, damage, accident, or unforeseen incident that may occur as a result of participating in activities inspired by or discussed in our content. By choosing to engage with our content or act upon any information provided, individuals do so at their own risk and discretion.